Uganda marijuana export to Israel. The consignment of 250 kilograms of marijuana is offloaded at Entebbe Airport on the way to Israel. When the world is faced with global pandemic, the government cleared 250 kilograms of marijuana to Tel Aviv, after Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu government agreed to pay $375,000, about 1.5 billion, for dry cannabis flowers. The Kasese-based medical marijuana dealer, the Industrial 𝙏𝙝𝙖𝙠 Limited, used Turkish Airlines on Monday night to deliver their first significant medical cannabis export to Israel. The Turkish plane carrying marijuana left Uganda at 11:30 p.m., according to a reliable source. I understand that the company last year signed a delivering order with Israel Ministry of Health that require Uganda to supply cannabis flowers. At a price of $1,500 per kilo. The company is linked to the former Bunyaruguru County MP Benjamin, according to reliable source. The deal is sealed through Israel Marijuana Company, Pharmaceutical Unlimited, Israel Ministry of Health, that control the company and contracted the company last year through one of the directors of the company, who is working with the Industrial Hemp Uganda Limited, and invested about 360 million, that is 1.3 trillion Ugandan shillings, in Hima Kasese. One of the directors of the Industrial Hemp Uganda Limited confirmed that the deal was a great leap forward by Uganda, because Uganda became the first country in the world to access the Israelis' medical cannabis market. It sounds strange, but at a time when Ugandans are peddling through coronavirus, which is affecting the entire country, marijuana director is bragging about the medical cannabis export, which is going to generate foreign exchange for Uganda in a difficult time and for the future. The company is expected to export additional 600 kilograms later this month. As I told you before, Uganda officially is a narco state. And believe me, we are in trouble. Our grandchildren will have multiple problems. Our schools will be confronted with addictions due to availability of cannabis all over Uganda. Some of you are still skeptical and don't want to believe what I'm talking about. Will wake up in 5 or 10 years with abundant tears in your faces when your children turn addicts. I hope the people of Kasese, Nakasongola, and Amuru will wake up. You are growers of those cannabis, and I hope you use it wisely. But believe me, no one is clever than the cannabis. You may think you have all the rules and regulation in place, but let me tell you something. In Uganda of today, a place where corruption is the order of the day, you are not going to tell me that speculators and people who want to make money are not going to get access to those companies. Then you are wrong. Sooner or later, those cannabis are going to get their way to the local market in Uganda. And before you know, it will get their way to the neighboring country like Uganda, Kenya, Tanzania, Sudan, and the Uganda local market. Those are the things which are very difficult to control at this moment. When you hear that left and right, corruption is the order of the day, speculators are there, Ugandans have turned wild. Everybody wants to make money. And in that process of making money, we are going to give our children, our grandchildren, a very hard time. Because if you look at addiction in the other part of the world, then you'll start wishing that we should have never introduced or gone into this business of producing marijuana, whether for medical purposes, whether you think you're clever enough that you're going to produce it and it will not reach the local market, you are wrong. And some of you may think that this man is talking too much. We want money. We want to generate foreign currency. That foreign currency, even if it comes to Uganda, you, as Ugandan, you will not test it. Because all those top layers would have stolen everything before even reaching you. So don't come and tell me that, yeah, we need foreign currency and it is going to help us develop this country. It's not going to help you develop any country at all. At the end of the journey, your children, your grandchildren will turn addict, believe me. I don't buy those sweet words about using it for medical purposes. Believe me, there's money to be earned in this business. And whenever a business is in progress, you just used all the tactics available to make money as fast as possible, because no one knows how long such a business is going to last. Leaders come and leaders go. So do those dirty business that is springing up everywhere in the world. It is surprising to hear that due to shortage of cannabis in Israel, the government of Tel Aviv is forced to approach weed dealers in Uganda to fill the gap. Under New Deal, Uganda will supply 2.5 tons of medical cannabis to Israel pharmaceutical industry. They are looking for cannabis. And the reason, I don't know. But you cannot tell me that there are so many people in Israel who are sick, who need a medical cannabis. I don't believe that. This cannabis, it gets their ways to different parts of the world. It's a business. For those of you who believe in those nonsense explanation about why they need the marijuana, they don't know what they're talking about. This is a pure business deal. I don't believe that there are so many addicts or those who need medical cannabis in Israel. I do not believe that there are so many people in that land with various conditions such as seizures, inflammation, pain, psychosis, or mental disorder, or inflammatory bowel disease, depression, anxiety, insomnia, and low appetite. We all know that the Kasese cannabis facility, before Israel deal, they were involved in exporting cannabis product to South Africa and Lesotho. So this cannabis growing had been going on for a long time. And this company is actively involved in producing those cannabis. If they had already been dealing with South Africa and Lesotho, then one begin to ask themselves, do we have so much addict or so many sick people in Lesotho and South Africa that require medical cannabis? Does it make sense to you? To me, it does not make sense at all. It does not. I'm a little bit concerned to hear that the Ministry of Health in Uganda is currently sitting on more than 100 bids from companies and individuals seeking to secure government clearance to grow and export marijuana for medical purposes. I understand that the government have drafted strict guidelines to weed out speculators. As it seeks to tap into a $5 billion lucrative industry. Let me send a warning to the Member of Parliament and the people of Uganda to be careful what they wish for. You have to be careful what you wish for in any cannabis deal. You are rubber stamping today may become your worst enemy tomorrow. You may be signing a death warrant for our children, our grandchildren, and generation to come. Playing with cannabis as if you are eating a sweet is not real. Cannabis is dangerous. Cannabis is addictive. Cannabis can destroy life. And if you, as a state, you, as Member of Parliament, you are involved in rubber stamping laws that allow this lucrative business come in and later begin to destroy our own children, grandchildren, generation to come, then you will be held responsible. But holding you responsible is not going to do us any good at all, because at that moment when it happened, we'll be nursing our pain. We'll be trying to get something that can solve the problem we created. When our children, when our grandchildren becomes addicts, and most of them will start fighting for their life. If we have learned anything from other parts of the world who are involved in that drugs lucrative business, we should have not even gone there. We should have not gone there. If the people of Uganda want to become addicts, if the people of Uganda want to destroy the future of the new generation, then I would say there is something wrong with our society. Then I would say, if there's something wrong with our society, that we don't care for one another anymore, that we want our children to be killed by drugs, then let it be. But let me tell you something. When you're elected to go to parliament, you are not elected just to go there, get a new car, sit there with your mouth full of nonsense that you don't do the job the people sent you to do. Then it is time, some of you, member of parliament, some of you, the ministers, some of you who are the lawmakers, should step down because you are not doing the job you should be there to do. We should not wait until these drugs get its way back to Uganda, to the local people, to our children, and they become addicted. And then you start running up and down abroad, looking for money, looking for medicine, looking for something that can help you solve the problem you have created. Then it does not make sense. It does not make sense. If you are just thinking that, oh yes, we have a $5 billion lucrative industry, we have to tap into it, we have to get whatever we want, then we are wrong. And as I said before, you have to be very careful what you wish for in a cannabis deal. If we start playing with danger, danger is going to catch up with us. And when cannabis turns to a killing machine of tomorrow, then that is the time you will start saying, I wish have not cycled within that route of misery and pain. We all know the temptation of $5 billion is great, but please don't close your eyes as far as the health issues of addiction is concerned. It might not come today. It might not come tomorrow. But in the long run, believe me, we will, or we may start playing a Russian roulette with the health of Ugandans. I don't believe in narcotic drugs. And psychotropic substances. I don't believe in the Act of 2015 that allow cultivation, production, and exportation of medical marijuana. That was a mistake. We should have not gone there. We should have said, look, that money is sweet, but we are not going there. This is not acceptable. I keep asking myself, what really happened to our legislators of today? We all know that this is a job for Member of Parliament. And before we embark on marijuana business, why can't we check up with our people? You can check up through a referendum to find out whether the people of Uganda really like those idea of having a marijuana production. The people of Uganda have the right to know why, how, and when business deals that affect the health care of their grandchildren or their children is about to happen. They need to know. Why don't you just tell them? Why don't you ask the people? Say, we have this business that is going to bring us $5 billion. And explain the risk of the use of cannabis. If, by chance, the market became popular within the country itself, because, as I said, we have corrupt people everywhere. We have speculators everywhere. And if those cannabis start finding their way to a Uganda community at home, to the local people, then we are digging the grave of our own children. We are digging the grave of our grandchildren. We are digging the grave of the new generation. And let me be honest with you, we are even digging our own grave. Because when you see your child dying, when you see your children dying, when you see the new generation going because of $5 billion deal, it is heartbreaking. Heartbreaking. Any reasonable Ugandan who knows the effect of drugs on people in Europe, the effect of drugs on people in America, the effects of drug on people in Mexico or other part of the world, he would not even begin playing that game. In your own backyard. And let me be clear. We are not yet clear We are not yet finished with our Member of Parliament. We are not yet finished with our leaders. You will be held responsible for whatever is going to happen to our children, the people of Uganda, if you turn this state to a narcotic state. Thank you for listening. I'll be back.